It is a huge honor today to be interviewing Angie Stone on a topic that it really strikes dear to me. Angie, I just want to start with why you interest me so much. I live in Ahwatukee, which is actually the city inside the city limits of Phoenix, but it's a little area, about 80,000 people. Everybody calls it Ahwatukee because it used to be a separate city that got annexed by Phoenix. And there's a half dozen nursing homes. And, you know, I've been practicing 28 years. And whenever my patients of record for the last however many years, they call up and say, can you go in and see so-and-so? I always want to go in there. And I'm just blown away by the oral condition of these nursing homes. I mean, everything we did for their whole lifetime just disappears in probably 18 months from root surface decay. And it's really got me rethinking everything I've ever thought, because I have to look at myself. Well, first, I have to look at myself when a 65-year-old lady comes in and her molar is broken down and needs a root canal buildup and crown, and the root canal's $1,000 and the crown's $1,000 and the whole thing's going to probably be $2,500. And I'm sitting there having flashbacks that as soon as she's in the nursing home, that's a wooden barn that's just going to be eaten by bugs and termites, and it'll all be destroyed. Yet if I pulled that tooth and placed a titanium implant in a crown, because when I go into those nursing homes, I mean, I have a half dozen patients that I can see their face right now where all the root canals, fillings, and crowns I did, they're all just mush. And then those shiny titanium implants. And who would have guessed the lucky ones would have been the people that pulled all their teeth and placed 4 implants and a hater bar and a snap-on denture. They're the only ones at the cafeteria eating. So I've said enough. You know what I'm thinking. You're coming out with a book next month, Dying from Dirty Teeth and the Oral Care of Dependent Elders. So take it away, Angie.
Yeah, actually the book launched at the end of March. And so the book is already available. And so we're pretty excited.
Did you post this on Dentaltown?
I did not post it on
Dentaltown. You should start a thread. There's 53. First of all, there's 198,000 registered dentists and hygienists around the world. And there's 53 columns. I'm trying to think, that should just go under hygiene. And discussions of hygiene, and then you should just post that and say, hey, I'm Angie Stone. I was named after a stone model from Crown and Bridge. and tell it, because do you agree or disagree that what's going on in nursing homes is not on television with oral health, and that the dental community really doesn't grasp quite what's going on in America's nursing homes?
Yeah, they don't. We have to remember that 5% of our population will live at some point in a nursing facility. And so 5% doesn't seem like very much. But when you, in the book, I outline how the population is aging and what that's going to look like in around the year 2030, how many people were going to be in nursing homes. And so as the dental community, I think what happens is, and we've all felt this, it's like all of a sudden we're going through charts one day and we're like, oh, whatever happened to him? Oh, whatever happened to her? And we may have spent 30 years or 28 like yourself taking care of these people, and then all of a sudden they can't come in to see us anymore, and they disappear from our patient base. So as clinicians, we're not really in tune to where these people end up and what happens to them and what happens to their oral health until, and this is what happened to me, you have a personal experience with loved ones in a facility, and then it comes rushing to you and you think, oh my gosh, I never knew what's going on. My grandmother lost 60% of her teeth in a nursing home in 2 years. She was 90 when she went in. She had almost a full complement of teeth, but in 2 short years, under the care of the care team and the dentist that was coming in to do exams, she lost 60% of her teeth. And I'd been working in this area for a while, but when I saw that happen, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. At 92, we're dealing with this. So there's got to be a better way. And that's basically, what my book talks about is what's happening, why it's happening, and then my personal solution that I've created to help.
Well, I can't wait to hear about it, because I personally, out of morbid curiosity, went and stayed in a nursing home, and befriended, the staff and just tried to check out what's going on. And what I'm seeing in Arizona, I don't want to name names of nursing homes, but I've been in a dozen. Is it's ran by CDAs, and they'll put like 20 to 28 people on a wing, and this poor little girl who's usually like 5'2" and 140 pounds has to get him bathed, showered, to the cafeteria, brush, floss. If I just told a hygienist like yourself, you have to clean all of these people's teeth just one time a day, I don't think you could do it like you do a cleaning. I mean, I don't think you could do it in a day. And she's got to bathe them and clothe them and get them to the nursing home. So can a CDA really brush and floss grandma's teeth in the nursing home every morning and every night?
No, sir.
Absolutely not. So
that's,
and I'll tell you one other insight on the nursing home. I'm not worried about it because when you go to a nursing home, there's no men in a nursing home. There's like 100 women and one man named Lucky. So, men are lucky. We die. We're dead by 74 on average. Women live to be 79. So the last 5 years you're talking about, is it mostly women?
It is mostly women in my, in my experience. However, I have taken care of several. In fact, the residents that I have now are mostly men, actually.
Really?
So, yeah. So I think it just depends. I think statistically, you're right. It's usually females that are there. But the one thing that really kind of irks me is that as hygienists in particular, if we see a resident from the nursing home in our office, we get all kinds of bent out of shape that the oral care is poor and that, nobody's brushing and flossing these teeth of these residents. And then we tend to write back nasty notes, to your certified nursing assistants. And it's not their fault. Do you know how much education they have for brushing and flossing teeth? Do you know how much, if they go to a formal...
The same amount we had in dental school on nutrition?
Less than that.
1 hour?
Yeah. It's about 1 hour that's hands-on and lecture. And as you mentioned, it's nothing to have, 12 to 15 residents per shift. And they have to, as you mentioned, bathe them, dress them, feed them, give them their medicines, give them their physical therapy. It's insane for the dental community to just think that those folks are going to be able to take care of the oral health, because the residents need a higher level of oral health care than the normal person.
So it's not going to be done by brushing and flossing. It's not going to be done by mechanical plaque removal of brushing and flossing every morning and night, is it?
It's not.
And plus you haven't also addressed, I'd be curious what percent of the 5% of Americans that will be in a nursing home are women versus men. I'd also be curious to know that 5%, what percent have diseases that allow them, they couldn't brush their teeth, whether it be intense rheumatoid arthritis or dementia or Alzheimer's. They're in there for a reason, and a lot of those reasons would mean that you couldn't even brush and floss your teeth.
That's right. And so the thing is that we've got to control the biofilm and the bacteria in the mouth. And you and I are really pretty good at that with mechanical disruption of those things, as we know. But as we age, and no different than little kids, older people are traditionally not good at that. As you mentioned, they may have arthritis, they have Alzheimer's, they have dementia. How do we expect that they can take care of their own teeth? They just can't. I just saw another case last week. I was called by a daughter of a nursing home resident and said that her mom isn't eating, and she keeps telling them that her mouth hurts. And I went in and looked, and I was lucky enough to have had x-rays for about 16 months ago. And she's lost 65% of her teeth in 16 months. They're all, as you said, Dr. Farran, just off at the gum line. So she's got all these root tips, 65% of her teeth in 16 months. We've got to do better. And, all of this disease in the mouth lends itself to other diseases, mostly aspiration pneumonia. And it's like people are like, oh, well, pneumonia is an old person's friend. Well, that's great. But do we really want to die from dirty teeth? I mean, that just seems ridiculous to me in the year 2015 that people are dying from dirty teeth.
And another interesting thing is, obviously when you go back and look at what we knew 100 years ago, it looks like 100 years ago they didn't have the germ theory. And you go back 500 years and 1,000 years, And obviously, there's a lot of research saying that, when you talk about Streptococcus mutans causing decay or P. gingivalis causing that's just massively overly simplistic. That from, the San Diego Zoo has about 4,500 species, and they think there's 12,000 species of bacteria, fungi, and viruses living from our mouth to the back door. And that 30 feet of track is probably 3 pounds of gut microbiome with 12,000 different species, weighing in, numbering at like 10 trillion cells. So who knows what's in their mouth? Who knows what diseases this could be linked to? I mean, and that's the title of your book, Dying from Dirty Teeth. I mean, it'll probably take it may be 100 to 500 years before they know how 12,000 species all interact with each other and all the diseases they cause and don't cause. And I mean, so we are going to have to make decisions based on limited knowledge of what species of bacteria we're talking about. Correct.
And so, I just think that we've got to do better. We at least have to keep the pH up, do something to help. And, it might not, as you say, it might not be, down the road really what is the absolute best thing possible, but we've got to start doing something better. And I really think that just getting in there, being present from a dental side with the residents is going to help a lot, instead of just letting them age without any kind of dental professional on site.
So what can we do today? What will your book recommend that we can do today?
Well, I've done some research with this population and xylitol. And so that was published in a peer-reviewed medical journal in October of 2013, where we simply went into the nursing homes and we talked to the nursing assistants. I did not teach them about brushing and flossing because I know that that's not going to happen. Research has been done that if you teach these nursing assistants to do better with oral care, even though they know that does not translate into an improved oral health situation of the residents. So I went in instead with a different idea, and I taught them to give these residents xylitol several times a day. And what we did is we tracked the biofilm on the teeth with pictures. Again, so this is just a brainchild of mine. I'm not technically a researcher. I don't have access to a university. So we just did what we could. And the reduction in the plaque on the teeth in over a 12-week period was absolutely phenomenal, just by having the aides give the residents gum or mints. So that's one piece of it.
Okay, can I stop you right there for more details? Because we hear that that with xylitol, not all brands are created equal, because some people say that there has to be a certain amount of xylitol. Do you buy in that there has to be, that certain brands are better, that there's a certain amount of xylitol? Some people say that some gums say they add xylitol for marketing purposes, but they don't have a therapeutic dose. Can you cover the specifics on the xylitol, the gums, the drops, the names?
Absolutely. And so what we know is that we get the best dental benefit when we have a product that's 100% xylitol sweetened. So it's really easy to determine what products are going to give us a dental benefit. We simply look at the ingredient list, and in the best case scenario for dental health, the xylitol is in the first spot on the ingredient list, and there's no other sweeteners listed. And the reason for that is...
And what would other sweeteners be listed? What would they be called?
Sorbitol, maltitol, mannitol, aspartame, any of the...
Say that again one more time.
Sorbitol, maltitol, mannitol, aspartame, any of the other sweeteners. We're already exposed to those other sweeteners a lot in our diet, and so the bacteria is consuming those sweeteners throughout the day. And that's okay, but we've got, as you mentioned, we've got to have a certain amount of xylitol in a product. We want to hit that bacteria about 5 times a day with a 100% xylitol sweetened product. And whatever company you like that's doing that, whatever products you like best, that's fine. But
can you name some brands just in case someone doesn't even know any of it?
I can. So Spry, the company Clear, is the leading manufacturer of 100% xylitol sweetened products in the country, and that's the Spry, S-P-R-Y, Dental Defense System. They also have the biggest variety of products because we know a lot of our patients can't chew gum 5 times a day, particularly when we're talking about elders, right? So the Spry line has toothpaste, mouthwash, gum, candies, mints. They've got sprinkling xylitol that can be put in water for a good therapeutic dose. They also have dry mouth sprays, dry mouth gels. So they've got the most breadth of products.
I wonder where that name Spry comes from.
You know, I'm not exactly sure why they decided that.
Oh, I wonder if that's a family name. And just for the people, how does xylitol disrupt plaque?
So xylitol is different from our other sweeteners in that xylitol is a 5-carbon structure. Our simple carbohydrates are 6-carbon chains. And the bacteria in the mouth, couple that you mentioned, mainly the Streptococcus mutan, consumes that simple carb, the 6-carbon chains, and we know they can use the simple carbs as a food source. So they digest those carbs, and then they have secretions. And we know the secretions are the acid, the stickiness, and the building blocks for the plaque. When we put xylitol into the mouth, xylitol only has a 5-carbon structure, and that switches up that whole chain of events. And so now we've got the bacteria consuming the xylitol, and they can't digest it. It's just that simple. Without digestion, there's no secretions. Without secretions, there's no acid, there's no stickiness, there's no building blocks for the plaque. And so the plaque, it just slips off the teeth. It's not able to stick. It's magic.
So Angie, I'm always trying to estimate what all these we just passed 100,000 downloads after just 75 podcasts, and so I just try to estimate what all these people are thinking. Someone's driving to work thinking, I heard all that artificial sweetener was carcinogenic. I heard when I was a kid that causes cancer. Well, what would you say to that hygienist or dentist or dental assistant listening to that, thinking that right now?
That's a great question. Xylitol is a natural occurring sugar. It's not artificial. There's nobody sitting in the lab creating xylitol. Xylitol is found in our plants, fruits, and vegetables. We eat it every day, whether we know it or not. And the xylitol is created every day in our bodies in the liver. It turns out we need it for our metabolization. So xylitol is completely safe. Again, nobody is creating xylitol.
Right on. And so you said Spry is the leading manufacturer of xylitol in the United States. And what type of product? You said they had gums, they had drops, candies. What all you say they have?
So there's toothpaste, mouthwash, gum, mints, candies, dry mouth spray. Xylitol is amazing for the dry mouth population, and dry mouth gel.
And what do, in your experience, these senior citizens, what do they seem to like the most? I would think seniors would like sucking on candies.
Yeah, they like the candies and the mints. And what's even, so for people that still have their faculties about them, the mints is most likely their product of choice. As they decline, though, and if they can't suck on the mints because they're an aspiration risk, we can put the xylitol into their water that they drink, or we can put it into a gel, in a tooth gel, and then they just put a little bit of the gel on a finger, either the aide's finger or the resident's finger, and just simply smush it right on the front teeth. They don't even have to get it any place in particular. They can just need to get it into the mouth so we can feed those bacteria. So it's really very easy.
Fantastic. So xylitol would be your first defense in these nursing homes.
Yes.
And their toothpaste, is that a fluoridated toothpaste? I mean, is that an all around good toothpaste?
Yes, you can. Xylitol is definitely a health food type product, if you will. And so it's housed in health food stores mostly at this time. We know traditionally health food stores don't like fluoride. So there is a non-fluoridated Spry toothpaste, and there's also a fluoridated Spry toothpaste because the dental community typically likes fluoride. So there's two different groups that are absolutely being marketed to, and so there's each, fluoridated or non-fluoridated.
Now, you're from Wisconsin, right?
I am.
Was that where Senator McCarthy was from? Was Senator Joseph McCarthy?
I didn't brush up on that.
But for you younger kids who aren't 52, that was basically the reason fluoride is so bad. It got branded because Moscow fluoridated their water, and we had a senator called Joseph McCarthy that thought Joseph Stalin couldn't do anything for good. He was just completely evil. So the only reason this was done because it made them more susceptible to communist thinking. And he went on the U.S. Senate floor with a diagram of the brain with a red spot in the middle of the brain showing that's the area where the fluoridated water affects the brain and makes you susceptible to communist ideology. And about half the country believed it. And so here we are, in 2015, and the Berlin Wall came down, and we saw 25% of American cities not fluoridated, which is just bizarre to me because fluoride was made in supernovas, just like you were saying, xylitol is made in fruits and vegetables, and we eat it all day, whether or not. Fluoride was made in supernovas. It's the 13th most common. It wasn't made by a manufacturer or fertilizer industry. It's the 13th most common element in the earth. It shows up in the ocean at 1.4 part per million. We only put it in the water at half that amount that's naturally occurring in the ocean, which covers 71% of Earth, and people just think it's unnatural. And then, so anyway, enough of that rant. I don't know why they don't make it just a federal law that says all community water is fluoridated. And then if you don't like it, you can buy bottled water because it's the poor people drinking out of the hose. I mean, when I grew up with 5 sisters, we were so damn poor, we didn't even know we were poor. I thought everyone drank out of the garden hose when they came home from school. And, and the bottom line is the poor people drink the city water. And it's just the top 10 public health measures we've ever done. And we wouldn't put up to an election whether or not we should keep iodizing salt and have goiter pop up in 24% of the towns. We wouldn't sit there and put up for a vote whether we should put vitamin D in milk so we could have rickets coming back in 25% of the towns. I mean, all the things that we've done for public health is not up for election for goiter, beriberi, rickets, and all the other disease we prevented with nutrition. So this is really what you're saying. This is a kind of a nutritional way. I mean, the first medication ever invented was limes they still call the British Navy limeys for scurvy. The first cure mankind had was a doctor in England figured out that if you ate a lime, you'd have vitamin C, and that would prevent scurvy. And here you're saying that xylitol is found naturally in plants and vegetables, and this is going to disrupt plaque. So continue. I'm sorry to keep interrupting you.
No, this is all good. This is great stuff. So I would absolutely, put xylitol into use with this population. Another reason is that it's over the counter. It's easy to get. I don't need a prescription for it. So there's a lot of things go into what you can use with this population. It has to taste good, has to be easy to get. It can't be super expensive. And so the thing that I found is that xylitol is absolutely fantastic at helping to control the bacteria. And then the second part of what my book talks about is actually having then a dental hygienist who is an oral care specialist, so also a certified caregiver, but only focusing on oral care, going into these facilities and brushing and cleaning between the teeth once a week. And there's research to show that if we do that, then we can reduce the risk of aspiration pneumonia, and we can reduce the risk of heart attack, stroke, because we're keeping the oral cavity clean. So we're controlling the bacteria with the xylitol, and then we're getting in there once a week to be sure that everything has been sitting on the teeth, if there's anything, there's usually not a whole bunch, but we're getting it off. And then we're in there once a week also. And so if somebody breaks a tooth, or if something is going on, I can alert somebody within 7 days. And I know for us that seems like a long time, but honest to goodness, my grandmother went, goodness who knows how long without anybody realizing that she had so many broken teeth. And the cool thing about that is that I can then notify somebody, whether it's the family, whether it's the care team at the facility. If that patient or that resident does have a dentist, I can alert the dentist, hey, Dr. Farran, something's going on with William. I can snap a picture of it. I can send you the picture. And you can tell me, hey, Ange, you know what? I don't know if we can do anything with that. We're just going to watch it. Is William able to come in and I can assess that situation? Can he come in? can you help with transportation? I mean, so there is such a cool link that we don't have to lose these patients, and they can be dentally healthy until the day they leave this world. So that's my soapbox.
Well, that's a great soapbox. I find it interesting. Colorado was the only state that passed hygienists to independent practice, and all the dentists, literally, they almost went completely insane. I mean, they literally went crazy, and only 6 hygienists did it. They
Right.
were all in small towns of about 1,000 that had no dental office. And I have met the dentist up the street from them in the big town up the street, and they love it because she's down there cleaning teeth, and you can't afford with the price of a cleaning to build an office and market and website. So they all put a dental chair in one of the rooms of their house. So they're all doing this in their house, and a couple times a day they're sending a referral to a dentist saying, I think number 19 is broken and needs a crown or this or that, and the dentists up the street just love it. And so what I'm thinking is, what are the possible business models? I mean, what if you're an older dentist and you only work 3 days a week, and your hygienist wants to work 4 or 5? Or what if you work 4 days a week and 5? I immediately started thinking, what about having your hygienist start going into nursing homes and paying her to clean teeth, and then she would be finding, or he would be finding problems. So and I want you to talk about it, because you do have a business model, because you have a HyLife, which is a HyLife LLC, which brings oral services to dependent elderlies. Talk about that business model. How have you been able to make a business model out of this?
Well, it's brand new, Dr. Farran. We launched last year at Under One Roof, and so we have all of the infrastructure of the business going. And so basically what it is I have contractors who are hygienists, also certified caregivers. And we put them into the nursing homes, and they go and they brush the teeth once a week, clean between the teeth, and also bring the resident the Xylitol products. So all of the oral care products are included in what the resident pays. Right now, it's all self-pay. It's interesting because once the family members, what we're learning is the family members are really the people that are going to drive this, because once they know that this isn't really being taken care of, it's nobody's fault, but there is a way to have their loved one taken care of so they don't die from dirty teeth. They're like, oh my gosh, we never knew. Let's get some services going here. And so again, we go in and we brush and we clean between the teeth once a week. We offer Xylitol. The care team gives the Xylitol after each meal, and we're keeping them healthy. And if something happens, we alert somebody. So I have HyLife is the company, and then I have hygienists that are working as contractors as oral care specialists.
Well, I think HyLife will go over well in Colorado, since they just legalized marijuana. They were the first to legalize marijuana and independent hygiene. So I would just say HyLife in Colorado, and you'll get that website should get 1 million hits. Now, are you just doing this in Wisconsin, or have you done this in other states?
I have 10 oral care specialists right now in 5 states.
Fantastic. And how's it going?
Well, we're trying to find a direct line to the clients. That seems to be our last big challenge, is how to get the information to the loved ones. So I thought in the beginning, silly me, that I'd just be able to go to the nursing homes and say, oh my gosh, there's this issue. You all know you have the issue. I have a solution. But they're not that open. And that surprises me in a way. But I think what they're feeling is that they may be found out that they're not really doing everything they should be doing. But again, that's not my platform at all. It's like, I don't care, if someone thinks they should be doing it or not. The bottom line is I can help so that it's getting done. And we can, help each other. We can, camaraderie with the care team and the families. And we're there once a week. The clients that I've been seeing, I can't tell you the relationship that we've developed with these clients and their family members. So, it's an absolutely fantastic model. But again, we've got to be able to get to the clients. So I'm thinking that the dental offices can absolutely help. As a hygienist, I see people that could use help with their oral care, and I oftentimes know their families. And so as a hygienist and or a dentist, to me, it seems like, well, wouldn't it be great if a dental office saw somebody and they're like, oh my gosh, you know what? I'd really like you to be healthier when I see you the next time. So maybe you could have HyLife services come in, and when we see you next time in the dental office, you're going to be healthier, and there's going to be less trauma for the dental office to have to deal with.
Well, my advice for that is number one, I think if you got 10 people doing this in 5 states, you said, I think you should start a thread on Dental Town to start getting those 10 people to start posting what they're doing as a case study and how they're going. So you'll be talking in front of a choir of 200,000 dental professionals around the world, so everybody can see this and brainstorm and read your book and all that. But when I'll get one of the best business tricks I ever started, because I've had to deal with literally 500 different dental companies on one matter or another. And one of the best lessons I ever learned was from Arm & Hammer. Russia, United States from coast to coast is only 4 time zones. Russia's 12 time zones. When the sun's coming up in Moscow, it's going down over the Bering Strait. That thing wraps around half the planet. It's a huge country, and it had all this natural resources, and nobody could ever get business done with them. And there was a man in New York named Arm & Hammer who was a pharmacist, and he chartered a jet. He went to Berlin, chartered a jet, and said, "Fly me to Moscow." And they go, "Well, you can't do that." And they go, "What are they going to do? Shoot me down? Just charter the damn jet?" And he did his homework on Stalin, and he knew that from America he liked Hershey's bars and Marlboro Red cigarettes. So he got this huge chest that was half chocolate bars and half Marlboro Red cigarettes. And he chartered this jet, and he started flying into Moscow. And 2 Soviet MiGs jumped up on his tail, and they go, "What are you doing?" And they go, "I have an appointment with Joseph Stalin." So now the fighter pilots are like, "Well, I'm not going to shoot down a guy that has a meeting with Joseph Stalin." So they let him land. The military showed up, and he just kept saying, "I brought this gift for Joseph Stalin." So finally they bring him to Stalin. He opens up this chest of chocolate bars and cigarettes, and Stalin's all happy and everything. And he says, what are you doing? He goes, "I can't do business with your Ministry of the Interior. I'm trying to get oil out of your ground, blah, blah." And Stalin pulled out a piece of paper and said, "If you say no to this man, I will kill you." And that's how Occidental Petroleum just got on fire, and that's how Arm & Hammer became a billionaire and all that stuff. So I would go in those nursing homes, and I would find the Joseph Stalin, the top dog. Obviously, they're scared. All social animals don't like transparency because we have a complicated social structure. So everyone likes to be in the closet about everything. Every time I see a story on nursing home, it's they're getting abused or they got bed sores. They probably don't want the last thing they probably want is a hygienist trained in healthcare to spot, oh, this one's got bed sores, or did someone slap this lady? So they probably don't like that. So I would start with the top dog, whoever that person is, build their trust, let them know this isn't about, you're not with CNN or Fox News, and this isn't you're not a journalist. You're just trying to help.
Right.
And so, but you're saying the monetary system, this isn't going to be paid for by Medicaid or Medicare or insurance. It's going to be a cash deal. So how much, if someone's listening to this and their grandma's in a nursing home and they wanted you to do this for their grandma, like how much a month do you think this is going to cost?
$100.
$100 a month.
Right.
That seems so reasonable.
I know. And they're seen 4 times. So, my team is there 4 times. And so it is reasonable. Plus they get all their xylitol and they get all of their toothbrushes and their toothpaste.
And they get attention. You know what my mom used to do? My mom was the strictest Catholic woman you'd ever find in your life. We had to go to mass every single day. But you know what she counted as a mass substitute? It was the 8 Beatitudes. I think it was in Matthew. Visit the sick, the dying, the elderly, the whole 9 yards. She considered skipping mass and going to the nursing home and dragging in me and my 5 sisters and making the rounds because it made them so happy. And my comptroller is the sweetest lady in the world, Stacy, and she has 2 dogs. And one night a week, she takes her 2 doggies to a nursing home because everybody just loves little doggies. So they probably just love the attention. It's one reason some people have to get out of dentures, because if you make a denture on a 75, 80-year-old lonely woman, she's going to hallucinate a sore spot every week just to come in and see the handsome, charming dentist and get talked to and touched and adjusted. And it's her big social event. That's the only reason she got up and took a shower this morning, is because she's going to go on her little social visit to the dentist. I only have about 50 of those people that have been coming to me, and they seem to never die because they're always out and about and having fun in life. I have one. Grandpa, he's actually Gonzalez. He's probably an 85-year-old man, and he walks like a mile and a half to my office every time. He just wants me to check, and I go in there and I check, and there's never anything wrong. And then he flirts with my assistant Jan for like at least 20 minutes. And so tell us more of that program. How could a dentist, if a hygienist or a dentist is listening to this right now, what would be the first step? Would you first see if you have a hygienist who's got a day a week extra to do? Would you first see if there's a nursing home? I would imagine every dentist has all the nursing home CEOs in their, those CEOs, I'm sure they all go to the dentist. I mean, somebody's treating every single nursing home CEO in America. So what would be the first steps on this?
So I think that you're right on there, Dr. Farran. So my model is I never envisioned this to be a full-time gig for anybody, okay? My HyLife was built upon 4 pillars, and the first pillar is, first and foremost, is serving the elder community and keeping them dentally healthy. That is the number 1 focus. The number 2 focus would be to create some extra income for the oral care specialist. And I'm not talking big dollars here. I'm talking maybe enough, maybe if somebody had 10 clients a month, they would get $500 for the month. So maybe a student loan payment, maybe for their kids' college fund, maybe for a car payment, something like that. So 1 day a week.
And you get out of going to mass. That's always
That's right.
That's a big benefit.
And then also to have the hygienist kind of be in charge of something that they can do on their own, that they're in charge of when they go to the nursing home, they're in charge of, when they see their clients, things like that. And then the 4th pillar is absolutely camaraderie of the oral care specialists. We've got, monthly calls that we do, and support of like-minded people. So if there's a hygienist that's listening that would, like that, they can always check out our website at HyLifeLLC.com. If there's dentists that are listening, and if they think, oh my gosh, my hygienist would be great at this, we have clients, that they could see, the dentist could also visit HyLifeLLC.com because it's magical. I think where the magic is going to happen is when we can have an oral care specialist taking care of the oral care needs, and we're combined with a dental office that can actually clean the teeth, or the hygienist has the permission of the dentist to go into the nursing home and clean the teeth. We've got a dentist that we can, confer with if, like you said, number 19's busted, what should we do? So if we could have both of those aspects met, that's where the rubber's going to hit the road. But you know what, Howard? As you mentioned, in most of the states, we can't just go clean the teeth by ourselves. So all of the laws have got to change, and I might be dead by the time that happens. And so I was like, I've got to do something now that I can absolutely do to make a difference. I can't wait for all this fighting to get over. I want to make a difference now. And so the oral care piece is how I think that I can help.
And by the way, when she's saying HyLife.com, she's spelling that HYLIFE, because the I think it's for hygienist.
Yes, and so It's a combination of hygiene and life, and how hygiene swirls.
And then LLC is the corporation has. Well, I'll give you an example of why I would not fear a hygienist going in there, independent practitioner. We just had a local deal with our board where, if you're going to teach a hands-on course, the dentist from the other 49 states isn't licensed in Arizona. So you can't have a dentist come in and do a hands-on course because they don't have a license. So I said, so I called the homeless shelter for the vets, and I told the guy, I said, we could do this in your place, and because they would have a license, and because call the state board and ask the Arizona State Board of Dental Examiners if it is okay if licensed dentists in good standing come to the homeless shelter for the American vets and do volunteer free dentistry on the vets, while with instructors from universities to learn how to do better, faster, easier, higher quality dentistry. I mean, who could say no to that? And she just said, well, and that's what she said. Well, who could say no to that? I mean, could you imagine trying to explain to your local newspaper or television station why the hygienist was not allowed to go into the nursing home and clean teeth on people who lose 65% of their teeth in 16 months? I mean, how fully, in fact, I wish every hygienist would start doing this and then start tipping off the newspaper stations. Hey, my name's Shirley and I'm breaking the law. Come cover this story. Because it would be, and that's what the Supreme Court always does. They cherry pick cases that are just so ridiculously black and white. I mean, they try to, there might be a million cases on a certain subject and they just look for the one that's like, okay, come on, look at this case. Look at these exact details. How could we not see the reality here? And I wish they would do that with medical marijuana. Just absolutely fries me that the state's got money. America's got 5% of the world's population and 25% of their prisoners. And they got 2 million people in jail. And 1 million of them are in there for what both our last two presidents have done while they were in college. And if they were all pardoned, think of the money they're spending at $35,000 a year keeping these guys locked up for drugs, when I'm pretty sure the last two presidents have done them. And that money could be channeled to cleaning teeth for the elderly or education or healthcare. It's just so sad that we don't blink at putting $35,000 into keeping some guy in a cage. But then when somebody wants a $5,000 student loan to go to hygiene school, we don't have the money for that.
Right.
Or to give the elderly cleaning. So I wish that would change big time. So another thing I'm worried about is if these people are going to HyLifeLLC.com, they're all speaking to the choir. Where if you guys were, Dentaltown has, you can set up your own private message group, and you could also start a thread, because if you guys were having a conversation in the middle of an auditorium of 200,000 people, that'd be phenomenal marketing. Where if you're having a conversation in a private room, because if you've only got 10 people, I mean, you should have 10,000 hygienists doing this.
Yeah, I guess I get a little squirmish because a lot of the boards and things that are online, if you are talking about something and it appears that you're promoting your own thing, they frown on that. So I'm always a little cautious because I don't know, if someone's going to say, well, you can't promote that here, or so I don't.
What we do in Dentaltown is, when I started Dentaltown, and remember, Orthotown is still, I'm not an orthodontist, but they've decided you have to be a licensed orthodontist specialist to be a member. They won't let anybody. I can't go on there, and I own the site. Okay. Now, Dentaltown, what we did is that if you're sharing information and knowledge, that's good. If you're just promoting, if you're spam, then we delete. But what we do is we give everybody has a signature. So in your signature, you can say your name, your book, your website, whatever. But as long as above that line, the post is sharing information, and all of our moderators are volunteers, so no one's doing it with an axe to grind. But as long as they feel that you're sharing from the heart, and then it's actually really good marketing, because when people start building a relationship with you and trusting you and liking what they're reading, then they see below the line, oh, well, here's a website, here's your new book, here's a deal. But this is it is but anyway, when I started, the dentist got mad because people were signing up from like Ivoclar and 3M and Ultradent and all these manufacturers. Yes. And I just told them, I said, no, I'm standing my ground, because if you took away 500 dental companies, I'm sitting on a rug with some pliers from Home Depot, and I'm not a good dentist. I need my 300 RPM NiTi. I need my 3D x-rays. I need my Root ZX. I need so many toys. And sometimes, I mean, if my 3.8 powered loops fog, I walk out of the operatory. I think dentists are these little fancy artists in a studio, and they're painting and sculpting, and you take away their oils and put in watercolors, and they lose it. I mean, they're very brand loyal. They like all their toys, and those manufacturers have to be seeing the discussion, because if all the hygienists were saying, you're making everything blue and we want it red, that your teammates. And that's why I called it Dentaltown. And and the manufacturers are not even 5%. I think they're like 3% of the two. It's mostly all dentists and hygienists. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, I wish you would talk about that, because I just think it's a horrible crisis that nobody talks about. Because if we were really talking about the even bigger discussion is, should we draw the line at dumping $2,500 into a tooth on a 65-year-old? I mean, what would you say if a 65-year-old lady say, well, okay, there's a swarm of termites coming about 10 years down the hill, and they're in Oklahoma now, and we're in Kansas. I'm going to build this barn out of wood, and everybody knows in 10 years the termites are going to come up and eat the whole barn when you sit there and think, well, if we built this barn out of aluminum, then the termites are dead on arrival. And so that's a huge discussion. And again, I don't think it's a discussion for men because, tell you the truth, Angie, when I go to those nursing homes, I mean, you can go an entire wings without seeing one man. I mean, so like I say, I don't have data. I should look for that data, but I'm starting to think, what I'm starting to do is ask women when they're 65 and they need a root canal, Biofilm, crown. I start saying, how old was your mother when she died? And they say she's still alive. I'm like, wow. And then if they say, and then my follow up question is, did your mother, did she get Alzheimer's or dementia? And if she says, yeah, she's got full blown Alzheimer's. So I'm thinking, okay, this person won't even know the name of her daughter, let alone brush and floss her teeth. And so where's the discussion of all the endodontists and all the geriatric dentists teaching in our fine dental schools? Where's the parameters of when we draw the line and say, you know, you're a woman, your mom's still alive at 85 with full-blown dementia, Alzheimer's, or rheumatism. Maybe we should start thinking titanium instead of root canals, crowns, bridges, fillings, and like just basically wooden stuff that termites eat. So you know that. So you're pioneering a new discussion. You know what I mean?
That is so interesting. What you just said to me, that I'd never even thought about it that way. So yeah, you just taught me something very profound. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and you know what I would what I think would also be good for you, and I'll try to help find one, but as far as these dental schools, there's a lot of really interesting people who are specializing, well, it's not a specialty yet, but geriatric dentistry. I mean, there's people that this is their whole focus of dentistry, and that would be fun to get them to join your conversation. So tell me, I got you for it's 46 minutes. I got you for 14 minutes, and I'm not going to let you go. So tell me, the one thing I have to ask is, you're a hygienist, and you started your career in the Navy as a dental assistant.
I did.
And I don't know why this is a bias, but I think of Navy, I think of an aircraft carrier with 5,000 boys. How did a little girl dental assistant, did you actually go on a boat? Were you the only girl on the boat? How did that, what was that experience like?
That's great. I never stepped foot on a ship.
Okay, so you were in the Navy and never saw a boat.
Isn't that crazy?
So you were a dental assistant in the Navy?
I was. And so
in Wisconsin?
I was stationed in Patuxent River, Maryland, and then in Great Lakes, Illinois. And so my whole mission was dental readiness. Because if our sailors were not dental ready, they couldn't be placed on a ship. So our whole mission was on shore duty to have them dentally ready so they could be deployed.
That's kind of funny because now you're at the retirement end, and you started out with basically probably the number one issue for those boys was cavities and wisdom teeth.
That's right.
So that's probably what you're doing. Just do the thirds need to come out and get these cavities fixed before they make it into the nerve.
That's right.
And now, and here you are at the other end of your career. And now, do you see any of those Navy boys that you saw in the beginning, or any of them now in the nursing home?
No, not yet. I haven't come across any.
So tell me. So you were a dental assistant. Then how long did you do that? And what made you go to hygiene school?
Well, out of high school, I knew that I felt that I wanted to become a hygienist, and I wanted to teach dental hygiene. That was my goal. So I did a semester at college at Marquette in Milwaukee, and always had this thing in the back of my mind that I wanted to be in the military. But at that point, in the early 80s, the military is no place for a girl. So don't go to the military. You're too smart, yada, yada. But I didn't like being at college at that point. So I left and joined the Navy and dental assisted for 5 years in the Navy, and then got out and dental assisted for another 8 years and thought, that hygiene degree was never finished. So I went back to hygiene school with a 5-year-old and a 6-month-old and a husband driving semi to keep me in school. And did hygiene for a while and went back for my bachelor's degree so that I could teach dental hygiene, and did that for a bit. And it didn't take me very long to figure out that that's not where I wanted to be.
And why is that? It seems like most people that don't like teaching said they loved the teaching. They didn't like the politics of the school. Yeah,
the politics is, you're very, forthcoming and thinking of all the new things that you can do and grasping that new stuff. And it seemed to me like I couldn't do that in the hygiene schools because we had to teach to the boards, which I get. And you couldn't really, it was so like stifling at the time. And so I was like, you know what, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. But I'm educating. I've spoke now in 40 states and 5 countries. And so I'm a speaker. And so I'm teaching. I just am not teaching in the traditional
Do you want to speak more?
Of course.
Do you know what the biggest secret is on speaking gigs?
What's that?
So there's about 250 dental societies. There's 50 states and about 250, 260 dental societies, and it's all volunteers. And you're in a committee, and they say, okay, we need 3 people to be in charge of the speakers at next year's meeting, and 3 people raise their hand, and they say, okay, don't get the speakers we had last year, and we want someone on hygiene, someone on root canals, and someone on practice management. These 3 guys go home, or women to go home, and they have no idea. So Dentaltown put up 307 one-hour courses. They're all ADA approved, AGD approved. They've been viewed over 500,000 times. So I'm in charge of getting a speaker in endo. So they just go to the endo, and there's like 8 guys that all do an hour each, and it's like their demo. There was one guy who put up a 1-hour course on endo and got booked 76 study clubs after releasing it. So what it is, it's a demo. So if they want you in as a speaker, so you go create an online hour. We get an ADA approved. Our business model is we'll do what I got 50 employees I got to feed, but our business model is if you put up for free, we'll do it free. But if you charge $1, we split it with you 50-50. So if you want the most views, put up for free.
Sure.
If that's how you make your living and feed your family, then you charge a fee. But any fee is an economic barrier to entry, so that will decrease your views. But if you give a 1-hour rock star performance, you're basically getting demoed for all around. I mean, that's why I've lectured in 50 countries, just from the online courses on Dentaltown. I mean, they'll pick you up in countries you couldn't find on a map. But give us a summary. So there's a hygienist driving to work right now, and she's in charge of the speakers for next year's meeting. There's a dentist driving to work right now. They're listening to you. Probably 85% of our podcasts are just listened to and not seen video. So this person's driving to work. You've got 8 more minutes. Tell me, if I had you come in and speak to my dental society, is this a 1-hour program, a half day, an all day? What is your how do you like to do it? What do you like to speak on, and at what length?
Well, my signature course is oral care for dependent elders dying from dirty teeth. That's my signature course. And that's a 3-hour course. And so that's like a half day. I do have another course called My Favorite Things, Dental Hygiene Style, which is wildly popular with the hygienists. Again, as you mentioned earlier, we need products. We are nothing if we just have ourselves and a patient. But it can get really confusing as to, what products work well. So I talk about all of the things that have changed my life as a clinical dental hygienist and how I don't want to practice without these things, my favorite things. And the companies give samples and things like that. So it's a fun course. And that's my other course that I do a lot. And that's 3 hours as well. So I can fill a whole day.
Well, you got 7 more minutes. Give us some things that you can't practice without.
Oh my gosh! First of all, loops and lights.
Oh yeah.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
No way. I will not. If they took my loops away, I might be okay. But if they took my light away, I would not want to practice. And I hear dental professionals all the time say, oh my gosh, those things, if I wear loops, they're going to, ruin my vision. I'm going to be dependent on them all the time. You've got to be kidding me, right? There's no science to support that. And then when they say they're wearing loops, I'm like, are you wearing a light? And not a lot of people are wearing lights yet on the hygiene side. But once you put that light on your head, you are like Superwoman or Superman, and you've never seen the distal of number 2 like you do until you put a headlight on your head. So that's one thing. Ergonomic chairs. I mean, I have to take care of myself, right? Nobody is really looking out for me. I'm supposed to look out for myself. So ergonomic chairs, XP technology from American Eagle Instruments. I don't sharpen my instruments. I will not. I don't want any other instrument in my hand. Also,
Wait, stop there because two things. XP Technology, Eagle what?
so it's XP Technology,
And what does the XP stand for?
Extreme Performance.
Okay.
And it's from American Eagle Instruments. And they are non-sharpening instruments.
So is that when they take the metal and put it in like liquid nitrogen and bring it to like, is it cold freezer or how does this technology work?
This is I haven't talked about the specifics of the XP technology in the manufacturing process. So it is, give me just a sec. I can't come up with the name that's infused into the stainless steel. And the Rockwell hardness of the instrument goes up intensely, and so they can make that instrument thinner right out of the package because they don't have to accommodate for us sharpening it. And I use my XP instruments for about a year without sharpening, and then I turn them in and I get new ones.
You turn them back into American Eagle?
Yes.
And what's the price on that? I mean, obviously they just can't give you free instruments for the rest of your life. So what is the exchange policy?
You get, like, if you turn in 12, you get one free or something like that. But you can turn in any instrument for your 12 to get one free if you're a part of the rewards program. And so the technology is absolutely amazing. And so as you said loops and light, but you didn't say what brand you like. What do you know? What brand? Or I'm an oroscopic girl.
Oroscopic girl. And that light's on your forehead?
On my glasses.
Oh, okay. It clips on your glasses, and then the light source in your pocket?
Yes.
The only problem I have with that is it seems like when I put it in my pocket, you know how you put a cell phone in your pocket and you butt dial people? Yeah. I'm always butt dialing people with my iPhone 6, and it seems like that's the only thing that I'm still having to work out is seems like sometimes I'll move my legs or hit the rheostat and I'm adjusting my light. So that's still I don't know if that's because I put it in my pocket. I don't know if I should be clipping it on a belt, or you don't have that problem? No,
not so much. I clip it on the inside of my pocket, so it just stays in one spot on my pocket. But I think Oroscopic does have something now that has the light right on the bows of the glasses.
And the other problem I'm having with my light and glasses is that when I take them off and I hang it up, you got to hang it up just perfectly, because it's hard to hang up, because if you bump the light, then when you put them back on again, you're adjusting the light and you're adjusting everything. And I wish someone would share their tips of how do you hang up your light, because you got a battery pack, you got the cord around the deal, you got the light, and if you don't hang it up in between patients just right, then when you put it back on your head, you're adjusting it again. But one time I got frustrated and I said, you know what? I'm always adjusting the light when I put them back on, and I'm always butt dialing the light. So I finally just said, I'm going back to the overhead light. You can't do it. Once you've had all that light and all that, you can't do it. So it's a one-way street. It's like the Hotel California. Once you check in, you can't ever leave. And you're right. And as a dentist, I pay for that for all my clinical staff, assistants and hygienists. And at first, some didn't even said they didn't want it. And I said, look, I don't, this isn't the house of Stevie Wonder. You're going to see with magnification and light. And now you took some of them were kicking and screaming and crying, but they all now say, thanks, coach, for making me do that, because now I'm a better dental assistant. My temporaries are better. Everything's better when they can see. So then you said American Eagle XP technology. You only got a minute and a half left. So give us some other products that you can't practice without.
Okay, so Xylitol, all of my patients are on board with Xylitol. I don't want to practice without that knowledge and those products.
And they can buy those products from you at HyLife.com?
No, that would be from Clear. But dental professionals always get wholesale pricing. And so they can go directly to Clear. It's xlear.com.
xlear.com. And correct. Can they get the spray brand there?
Yes.
Okay.
Clear is the manufacturer.
So it's Clear with an X.
Yes.
And XLEAR is the manufacturer of spray. Man, they're just into funky names, aren't they?
I know. They are.
Okay, so Xylitol, you still got 57 seconds. Name some more products you can't live without.
Okay, SE Cushions by Zerk.
SE cushions.
I put those on the end of my saliva ejector so I don't give my patients hickeys when I put the saliva ejector in their mouth. Zirk mirrors. Oh my gosh, the Zirk mirrors are fantastic.
ZIRK?
ZIRC.
Zirk mirrors. And what's unique about a Zirk mirror?
It has different layers of anti-reflectiveness, and so they are so much brighter than your standard rhodium mirrors. Oh my gosh, Dr. Farran, they are fantastic.
I've never heard of that. I'm gonna absolutely. So you can see significantly. It reflects significantly more light.
Yes.
Huh. So Zirk. So it's Zirk. So they got a zirconium element in the. Huh. I assume it's zirconium. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. That element reflects more light. What else?
The Vera angles from Young Dental. Vera Profi angles. They're smaller. They're bent different so we can see better. And of course, Florida Probe's VoiceWorks system for periodontal charting, voice activated charting.
Now I went to Young Dental. That's in Missouri, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I went to dental school in Missouri. That's a good company in Missouri.
Excellent company. Excellent.
And what's unique about their Vera Profi angle?
They're smaller and they're angled different so that we can see the tooth better when we're polishing. They have external ribbing on the Profi cups, so we can use those better interproximally to remove stain.
Huh. And then what was the last thing you were saying when I interrupted you about Young?
VoiceWorks.
Okay. Florida
from
Probe.
Florida Probe.
So that is, you don't have to call a dental assistant or the dentist to come in and chart for you. So it's voice activated.
It is, and these guys have got it down. Traditionally, there's been some issues with voice-activated charting. Not with this thing. They were charting on the Chicago Midwinter show floor.
But why would you need voice-activated when you're just making up all the numbers anyway? I mean, don't you just measure like 3 measurements, then just start making stuff up? I'm kidding. That was a joke, and that was a joke. Meaning we are out of time. Hey, Angie, I wish you'd make a CE course on both. I wish you'd do a CE course about dying from dirty teeth, and that could you got 10 people. I bet that course could take it to 1,000. And then I wish you'd do another course on products you can't live without. But hey, I really respect your passion, your mission, your education, your knowledge. You educated me, I don't know, 1/10 of what you know on all this stuff. And thank you for giving me an hour of your time and your life. And thank you for all you do for dentistry.
Dr. Farran, thank you for giving me this opportunity to chat with you. You have taught me a bunch today, too. So I think we're a great pair.
All right. Well, you're from Wisconsin, right?
Yes, sir.
So what's your favorite cheese?
Just the regular old mild cheddar.
Mild cheddar. You don't like the sharp cheddar, huh?
No, not so much.
Huh. Okay. Well, that seems to be our only difference. And on that note, I got to go. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Howard.
And if you need a speaker at your next meeting, you got to bring Angie Stone in there. And the reason I'll tell you why you got to bring her in here is not only this is the most important subject, but when you read reviews of conferences that the ADA receives for 20 years, the number one complaint with all dental conventions is there wasn't anything for my staff. It's too much clinical, root canals, fillings, crowns. And here's this one dentist, and she's got 2 assistants and a hygienist and 2 receptionists. And you look at the lineup of speakers, it's all, how to do an apicoectomy and bone graft around an implant. And you look like you would have a rocking hot, bring down the house Elvis day for the entire dental office team. So that's why I would bring Angie Stone in. Okay, Angie, have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.